Hello,
Hey Dara, how are you?
I'm very good. Michael, is it?
Michael is right, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Is that how it's pronounced?
That is how it's pronounced, that's right.
Great stuff, great stuff. Okay, Michael, just before we begin, I'll just give you some background information. Sorry, I'll just start my video here. I'll just give you some background information just to provide you with information just about the data and how it's being handled and just about the purpose of this interview. So, this interview is being recorded for data collection purposes. The information you provide throughout this interview, it'll be stored completely internally and not made publicly available. And the information and data gathered from this interview will be used for development of the jumpAgrade platform. The purpose of this interview is for me to gain a greater understanding of you as a primary user of the jumpAgrade platform. The interview should take no longer than 30 to 40 minutes, and it'll consist of questions relating to you as a person, you as a teacher, your relationship with technology, your use of the platform, your objectives, and your pain points. I do have a script of questions, but it's not really strict, and it's more of a guideline for me. I might divert from this script if I think something is worth exploring a bit more in detail. And at times I might take notes, but it is being recorded for me to analyze later. So my main objective here is to just ask some questions and listen as much as possible to your answers. And even though it's an interview, it's not really. It's a conversation. It'll be completely informal. So try not to overthink your answers too much. But what is important for me is that you try to avoid answering questions in a rose-tinted manner. So just be as honest as possible. So when speaking about how you use a specific product or technology, try to speak about what you would actually do as opposed to what you would do. And finally, if there's anything you are not comfortable answering or talking about, we can just move on to another questions. Is that okay?
All good, no problem at all.
Perfect. Okay, so the first section of questions is background and ethnography questions. So what is your name and your current occupation?
My name is Michal Osiak, and I am a teacher and a lecturer. I teach physics, maths, and chemistry, and I lecture maths and project management.
Okay, and you teach and you lecture, is that all in third level?
Second and third.
Okay, so when you're teaching second level, are you full-time teaching in second level?
Okay, it's difficult to answer because I work full-time, but I don't have full-time hours that kind of way.
Yes.
Because I'm not a permanent teacher with my own hours. So it's still on a kind of as needed basis, which generally turns out to be full-time. So.
Okay, fair enough.
And I lecture part-time.
Okay, so and where do you teach secondary?
In Limerick.
Okay, in what school?
Don't think that's needed for this interview, to be honest.
Okay, sorry, yeah, that's completely okay. And how long? Where are you teaching in third level, or is that
Limerick Institute of Technology?
Okay, fair enough. And how long have you been working as a teacher, I guess?
2 years as a teacher and about 2 years as a lecturer as well.
Okay, and what were your original qualifications?
So I have a Bachelor of Science in Physics, I have a PhD in Chemistry, and I worked as a process and development engineer for 5 years prior to being a teacher.
Okay, and why did you said you worked as a process and development engineer. Why did you actually want to become a teacher then? So
because I enjoy teaching. I think teaching is probably the most underrated and undervalued profession, and both important senses. And I wanted to have a little bit more time to do things that I want to do, which wasn't really possible when working in engineering because of the time demands of the job. So we're talking 50 to 60 hour weeks kind of on a regular basis. So teaching seemed like just natural fit for me. It wasn't the only option, but that's something that I decided to pursue.
Okay. And could you kind of describe then for me what your typical weekday looks like? I know when I actually wrote these questions, I wrote these before the COVID pandemic outbreak. So I guess when you're answering these, just think pre-pandemic, what would your typical weekday have been like?
Yes, for sure. Get up at 7, have breakfast, drive to work in school, work in a school teaching until around 4 o'clock. Then, if I had lectures, which were about 3 nights a week, I would prepare for my lectures, do the lectures in the afternoon, and then come home, eat food, prepare for the following day, and then go to bed pretty much.
Okay, and do you have any hobbies or interests?
I read a lot. I play Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I like hiking. I suppose that's it, really.
Okay, fair enough. And do you find that you have much spare time to pursue those hobbies or interests?
No, definitely since becoming involved in the 3 lines of work, jumpAgrade being the third one, I definitely found that the amount of free time available during the weekdays and also weekends went down to well, about the same amount of time as I had when I was an engineer, sometimes less. So yeah, definitely don't find that to be the case.
Okay. Okay, so the next section of questions is general technology questions. So what is your kind of overall relationship with technology like? And what I mean by that is just what tools are you using on a daily basis throughout your job? Both the physical tools of whether it's a phone or a laptop and the websites and apps that you use.
Sure. So, okay, let me see. How do I approach this? So I'm working on a Mac. I have a 2015 MacBook Pro. I have an iPhone 11. I use both of them for note taking. I would take notes on paper. I would do voice notes. I use a very new tool, which I recommend you check out, called Rome Research. It's very interesting, new approach to knowledge management. For reading, I use Kindle, and for my day-to-day work, for presentations, depending on the content, I either use PowerPoint or Keynote. For document preparation, I work mainly in Pages, worksheets, both Excel and numbers, with no issues there. For the jumpAgrade content preparation, I record my webinars in Camtasia and process them there, and I prepare documents using Word, I guess. What else do I use that is important to mention here? Nothing really, that's it.
Okay, and out of those that you just kind of listed, what would be your favorite websites and apps to use in your job?
For websites, definitely at the moment, Rome Research is good to go to. 90% of what I learn, what I note, goes there, and it's a very, very useful tool. For other websites, I don't really have any favorites as such, to be honest. Haven't had much need to explore the tools, any other tools, I guess, because for what I need to do, what I have at the moment is sufficient.
Okay, great. Okay, so then to move on to the next section of questions is your relationship with the jumpAgrade platform. So first of all, how long have you actually been tutoring with jumpAgrade?
I started in September of last year. I think September, October, something like that. I can't remember exact date, but I had a student who was with me for the full school year, and he was with me for 28 weeks. So I'm guessing it was September.
Okay, that's fine. And overall, what's your opinion of jumpAgrade, both as the platform itself and just as a, just as a service? What's your overall?
Let me start from the other side. As a service, I think it's excellent. Really, it seems to me that it's really targeting a niche that's underexplored at the moment. Making it possible for students who normally would have a difficulty of coming across a tutor. So definitely there is, that's a niche that's unexplored, but it's also providing actual meaningful value to people that let's say avail of their services. So from that point of view, I have a lot of respect for what the lads were able to build in a short space of time. The platform is shit, really. I mean, it's talking about from the software side of things. It's my blood boils, and it boils because I have a lot of students. There was a period of time where I had 30, and I'm just going to shake my head because the way the platform was developed, it wasn't really, I think, developed with an idea of tutor having that many students in mind. It's for someone with up to 5 students, I would say it's okay. It's not perfect, but it's okay. But if you have many students, then it's not very good.
Okay.
It's repetitive, and there's a lot of things that I had to do that could be coded out. That would free me up to do something that's not really programmable, let's say. But yeah, other than that, so that would be my opinion. Like as far as the service and the idea of the service goes, I think it's fantastic, and I'm quite happy that I had been a part of it over last year. But as far as the the nuts and bolts is concerned, yeah, it could be better.
Okay, great. And how many?
For me, anyway. Maybe that's just my opinion, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's what I'm here to do, is to listen to your opinions on it, really. So, how many students do you actually tutor for? Again, we're talking pre-pandemic. What would you have been typically tutoring for?
I had 20 students up until 2 weeks ago. There was a period of about 7 or 8 weeks where I had 31. But that kind of dropped since I had a child, so I had to create more time. But at the moment I have 11 students, but that's only for last 2 weeks. I had 21 up until 2 weeks ago.
Okay. And when you had 30 or 31 students, like you said, sorry, how many hours in a week typically would that have taken you between both creating worksheets and providing the feedback?
$15 to $25, I would say. Most of the day Sunday, and a good bit of day on Monday. And for creating feedback itself, that's about 9 hours thereabouts. And again, 9 hours. Then creating worksheets, so maybe 9 hours, about 3 hours, 4 hours for worksheets, and then at least 3 hours to get everything put together, uploaded, then into the platform. These are extended estimates, so I'm erring on the high side. Yes. Rather than on the low side, because I have a memory of many weeks where it would take me only about 15 to 20 hours, maybe less, to do everything. So just kind of a 20 to 25 hours is probably a good guesstimate.
Okay, great. So, and did you how difficult or easy then did you find creating the worksheets? And
worksheets are no problem. To create a worksheet, let me maybe rephrase it. If a student is clear in what they're covering, then creating a worksheet is not a problem, because material is available freely everywhere, really. It's not difficult to come across material, even for someone who's a new teacher like me. It's difficult if a student is not communicating what they want to have covered. So then from that point of view, it makes it a little bit more challenging to create something that might be useful and meaningful for them. So worksheets, easy to create.
Okay, and could you kind of talk me through your process of creating a worksheet each week, both from the technical side of how you actually go about making the worksheet, and what you're kind of, how do you decide what content to put in?
Okay. Can you enable a screen share?
I think so. Sorry, I'm not too familiar.
That's all right. If you, I think, yeah.
Does that work?
Perfect. Okay, so let me just share my desktop and I'll walk you through exactly what I'm doing.
Yep.
So normally what I would do, it kind of built up over a period of time. I have, the content I'm using here, that's all provided by StudyClicks. And I have a teacher account on it, so I have access to all the questions that I needed. And for instance, if I have a student, let's take an example. Shouldn't be doing that because of the GDPR. So I hope that doesn't go out anywhere, this video.
No, this will be all stored internally.
Let's take a look at Aaron, who was fairly responsible in terms of how he was answering the question. So he would tell me what happened, and then he would tell me that he's putting together atom, radioactivity, and nuclear energy. So then from here, I would go into the worksheet. Where is it? Sorry. No. So go to worksheet and find questions for nuclear physics. So somewhere nuclear, let's say particle physics or nuclear energy. And based on what I know about Aaron and the kind of things that he struggled with, I would pick out questions out of here and literally Command Shift 4 to copy, Control Paste into Command Paste, into Word, and that's it. Question done. And would do it for, depending on the kind of, I usually, like, these are exam questions, and that's something that I do as a matter of choice. I only give student questions that had shown up on the Leaving Cert, because these are the kind of questions that they need to be practicing when they want to do well in the Leaving Cert. You kind of get good at doing Leaving Cert if you do a lot of Leaving Cert type of thing. So that's why I've been doing a lot of that. And give them between 4 and 6 on the topic of their selection, starting from usually the oldest questions, because these are the least likely to have already been covered by them. And then save the document, and that's it. Job done.
Okay, great. And do you only use StudyClicks for the content, or do you also use the state examinations website as well?
I use state examination website as well, but that would be for let's say specific revision questions. So for instance, I have for my maths questions, my maths students were really looking for a lot of revision that would be topic non-specific. So then I would pick out one of the, let's say 2010 higher level paper 2, because they're looking for paper 2 revision. And then out of those, I would pick out questions that seem like reasonable ones to do for those students. So again, I only do it like that because I don't have a better way of doing it at the moment. This could be automated, and it could be done much faster and much quicker. I've been I had before my son was born, I was trying to figure out a way of programming a website where I would just specify a category of questions that I want the worksheet to be created from. and I wanted to populate a database with all the questions from those, from those exam papers with tags that would tell me what kind of topic those questions cover. And then I would just tell the program to do it spit out 7 questions in a PDF, and that's it. But I just don't have time to do that. So, and it would take too much. It would take too much time for me to learn how to do it. So I don't see the return in this investment, especially that those services are already available, like StudyClicks. For me, it's much easier to do it. Although, having said that, I would prefer to have something like that on my own, and it would be good for jumpAgrade to have something like that, because that just means that they remove the difficulty of creating questions. And this is my guess. I'm guessing that 80% of the teachers that you would be talking to would be using the same kind of questions for, like me, with either the exam questions or the StudyClick questions. So having something like that would be useful. But anyway, once that's done, I have a worksheet. Where are my worksheets? Here, I have a worksheet in the student folder. I have the worksheet. I have a worksheet named so that I know what the topic is, because here is where the kind of return on investment in creating a worksheet occurs. I can reuse that worksheet for a student that covers the same topic in the future. Not very common, because of the fact that most of the schools in the country follow their own schemes of work. So it's very rare that students cover the same material at the same time.
Yes.
Probably not the right way of thinking about it. Rare for students to cover the same material at the same time, not rare for the students to want to cover a similar type of content. So once I had the worksheet created for Electron, normally up to 5 worksheets per topic is sufficient, because students don't usually go over a topic for longer than 4 to 5 weeks. So I could reuse and recycle. Sometimes that's not doable because students might have the knowledge or the ability, so then there is a little bit of tailoring required, but not very much. But anyway, once this is done, upload, and for whatever reason in my Brave, when, I don't know, you might have found this, so I use Brave, it runs on Chrome backbone. If I go into jumpAgrade and start uploading worksheets, the way the worksheets display, and the feedbacks are the same, the way they display in the, this little box at the bottom over here, that box does not scroll on my system. So there is a container created here at the bottom of all the feedback lists. That container extends beyond the edge of my canvas over here, and I just can't seem to get there on Chromium. Safari works, so that's something that I had noticed, that I need to use Safari in order to be able to upload worksheets.
So sorry to interrupt there, but you say in that container it doesn't display all of your students. Is that because you need to wait for Susanna or Dave to
no. So that's you, I think, cross wires. So this container displays all the students. Yeah. This is for the feedback. I upload the feedback. Once all the feedback is uploaded, the list of the students with the feedback uploaded displays in a different container. For the sake of example, I can upload this feedback here, let's say, and I want to talk about feedback in a second as well, because I want this to come very clearly about the feedback, that it's feedback is the most messed up process as far as I'm concerned. So let's go to IFA and week 5 and week 4, let's say. So that's previous week. Actually, no, hang on, I can't do that anymore. Just get that feedback in. Okay, so once that feedback is uploaded, it displays in a little box over here. And if there are more than 4 students with feedback uploaded, that container below the gray box extends to the right, and it doesn't scroll on Chrome based platforms. So it has to be done. I have to do it in Safari in order to do that. So that's it really for it's not a problem for uploading feedback, because feedback is uploaded from this field here, let's say. But for worksheets, it's a problem.
Yes, it's actually a recurring problem that I've heard from speaking to most teachers, that is one of the main technical issues they have with the platform itself.
And also, once that's kind of what I found problematic as well, was that there was no rhyme or reason in the way how those cards are arranged. So they're in alphabetical order over here, which is perfect because all my students are arranged alphabetically in my folders. But once it's all uploaded over here, I don't know, it probably looks at this identifier or something like that, and then just arranged according to that identifier's number, which it kind of messes up uploading worksheets then. So yeah, that's essentially kind of where I was with the worksheet upload. Once you have all the feedback uploaded, that's grand. Then you just need to upload all the worksheets. I kind of hope that I covered that.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Let me just talk about the feedback, because feedback was the biggest problem for me, and honestly, I don't understand why it had to be done the way it had to be done. So for a long period of time, what I used to do is literally had a template for each student created, and that's why it took so long. For each student from the template for the feedback, copy and paste the link from exactly as suggested in the manual document that the labs put together. But that's took too long. So I had to figure out. What I figured out was on Google Drive in my folder, I exported a list of URLs with all the files for a given week. So for instance, here, this is my folder for the current week where I'm storing the video feedbacks. So not current week, but the previous week. So that's for the 31st of May. I export the URLs to all the files in there, and then I use another macro to create feedback files, and then I download all those feedback files and re-upload them to jumpAgrade. I have a template that populates the student name with the name from the URL list, and yeah, it kind of saves me about an hour, I'd say, total. Maybe not an hour, but it definitely saves me a good, because I think to create a feedback and have it uploaded and everything done, it's about 2 to 3 minutes per person.
Yes, but they add up when you have 30
to
students.
The right dates and so on and so forth. About 2 minutes, maybe. Not that it's yeah, I don't want to kind of overextend the time. So the feedback was one of those repetitive tasks. So yeah, sorry, I don't want to get sidetracked. So I'll give you back the screen control. Okay.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. No, that's a great insight into how you worked around it. Clearly, you found many different solutions for yourself that worked for you. That seemed to improve it. No, that's great. Do you mind me actually asking that software that you mentioned earlier that you find to be one of your most useful software? What was the name of it again?
Okay, so this is what I use for my current note taking, and kind of like it's my Evernote replacement. It's called Roam Research.
Okay, do you mind just showing me that for just 2 minutes?
Yeah, for sure. So if I go to Roam.
Can you still screen share?
Let me share the screen. Yeah. I apologize.
No, that's okay.
Let me share this here. Where's my Brave? Yeah. Oh, screen shaded for it to start. Interesting. Let me try again. Okay, perfect. So this is Rome. And what it does, it's essentially like Evernote for Evernote, but with bi-directional linking. So you have a date, and in that date you can take note, whatever it is. You title the notes. You can have those notes. It's a hack as well, but you can have them redisplayed. Notes can be, content rich, files, videos, and so on. But the big thing, if I go to this folder here, the big thing here for me is the fact that every single note that you create, the title is a bidirectional link, so I can click into this note here, so to the right to think, and then it tells me that that note was linked in from writing, and that's kind of very useful for me to track what I'm doing, to note on the things that I capture, and again to kind of develop ideas and thinking, and make sure that I do what I need to do. You can track tools. There are also functions that I don't really use, like you can have Kanbans, you can have diagrams, and so on and so forth. So the learning curve on it is a little bit steep, I guess, because if you're coming out from either Notion or Bear or Evernote or Trello or something like that, there's definitely a little bit of a difference in this case. But I found it does everything that I need to be doing, that I need from kind of knowledge management system. It's not very much related to what I do in jumpAgrade, only maybe in a way of if I need to track what a student does week to week, that's what I might just type a quick note that this student is struggling with some material, and then make sure that you cover that material in the following week's worksheet, tick a box. Because I could create like it will show itself a note that I make a week ago, it will show itself over here for me for this week. So it's useful for me to kind of keep track of what I'm doing.
Okay, so
yeah, that's it really.
It's more of a personal tool for yourself to help you in your work.
Precisely that, yes.
Great.
For jumpAgrade, I mean, you might know Camtasia. Let me just resume share with Camtasia here in front. Where is it? So actually, let me stick with Brave for a second. I used to use Loom as a way of sharing my content, but I found their platform tremendously buggy. There was a number of times that I lost 15-minute feedback videos. They wouldn't upload from my platform to their platform or something like that, which was very okay. It made me very unhappy with them, let's say, even though I have 320 videos stored in their database, so I spent a good bit of time in here. But the fact that their platform was so buggy and it was really painful to use with those bugs, I bought Camtasia, and that's what I use at the moment for my
video feedback.
For my video, yeah. It's,
okay.
Let me just go to Camtasia here. Camtasia actually makes it much makes nicer videos, better resolution, I think. And you can, if you have time and feel like it, you can include the splash and fireworks. But for this, for the videos that I do, all I do is just cut down the toolbar, the top bar, and then the bottom bar, and then I place my face in the upper right corner, and that's it.
Okay, so do you use that with every student with jumpAgrade when providing feedback?
every single student with jumpAgrade since I got the app yet. So I'd say I had recorded I don't know, maybe about 400 videos in it, I'd say.
Wow. And what are you
Maybe.
what are you actually recording the videos with? Is it with your phone or with?
No. So the video. So okay. Let me go through that flow because that's something I
Is it a
haven't covered.
webcam?
So like I'm going to share the screen and like literally just narrate what I'm doing. When I was just doing feedback here for a student a second ago. So let me just clear this. So let me share my desktop because you need to be seeing the desktop here for this. Okay. So I have a bamboo tablet and I got this little whiteboard app. Mac doesn't seem to have a very good whiteboard applications for whatever reason. But anyway, for students, like for instance, I was doing feedback for Connor here. I bring up his answers, which are right here, and then I would. So this is what I've done. I have this video recorded. I'd say, hey Connor, this is Mr. Osiak for jumpAgrade with feedback for Sunday 31st on algebra and leaving your paper to review. Let's get right into it. And then I would talk through each of the questions. So question one over here, your answer seems to be correct. You were, looked at what needs to be calculated, noted that 20% of the tax has to be converted into decimal, and you went after finding the value of the tax correctly. And then you use those values to find the USC. And then finally in part C, you were able to find the value of the PRSI from the USC and the tax calculated previously. Then I would keep going through each question that I know that the student has solved correctly. And then if student is clued enough to say that they're struggling with something, then I would spend some time talking about that. And then like for instance for part D over here, so part D is this question over here, let k be a real number such that the modulus of z plus k equals to 5. And I know that Connor didn't answer this question properly. So what I would do then, I would pull my whiteboard up and say, look, Connor, so here we have z plus k equals to 5. And this means that modulus of complex number z plus k has to be equal to 5. I know that complex number z equals to 1. And I know that the modulus of z is equals, 1 plus 4i equals to a plus b, all that squared, and you need square root out of that. And then I would kind of go over the solution of this, narrating the solution, saying what I'm doing. So for instance, first thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to write down the inside of this number, which is going to be 1 plus 4i plus k. And then I'm going to take a modulus out of that. I know that those two numbers are real numbers. So in the modulus, I will have square root of 1 plus k, all that squared, and then plus the coefficients of the imaginary part, which is 4 plus 4 squared, has to be equal to 5. So if I take a square of both sides to get rid of that square root, and then I would narrate the whole solution, knowing that Connor doesn't have that solution done. So then once that's done, the screencast, which had been recording all along through this process, will just, pop into video. Pop in Camtasia. Camtasia will pop out. I do this quick edit, then I export it and save it as MP4. Then I will upload all my MP4s to the Google Drive location, and then from then on I'll do the flow that I have for feedback creation. So export all the links to all the videos, then create the Word documents with the links.
Okay, great. And sorry, just one small question I have on that is when you're using the whiteboard app, what are you actually using to write with? Like you say you had a tablet there. Do you, like, is there a tablet input or yeah, pen? Oh, okay, yes. So it's like a Wacom tablet type thing, is it?
It's a Wacom, yeah.
Yeah.
Wacom Intuos, and yeah, I think it's Intuos, isn't it? Does it say? Yeah, it's Intuos, yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, that That's perfect. I mean, you've given me a very, very comprehensive understanding of your workflow there, and you've pretty much answered most of my questions for the rest of this interview, really. And like,
Super.
were all these tools things that you had yourself anyway before you started with jumpAgrade, or did you buy that tablet specifically for the purpose?
I bought Camtasia for jumpAgrade because Loom was not good enough. I bought a tablet because I have my own teaching channel on YouTube as well, and like there isn't any other way unless like you record yourself on whiteboard, which you can't really do in Irish school. There isn't really any way of you sharing your teaching content unless you record it as a screencast type of thing. So yeah, that's why I had to get it. That's why I got it.
Okay, great. No, that's brilliant. Okay, so just to move on to the next section of questions, and you've covered a lot with that, but kind of your main objectives and motivations, really. So, why did you actually initially sign up to tutor with jumpAgrade?
Because I was looking for a way to tutor more students. Grinds are a great way to teach a student because you can get like I gave grinds to 4 students last year as well, and you can really get far with a person, like providing them with personalized feedback. So I was looking to tutor more students, and jumpAgrade then showed up, and actually like what really motivated me is the kind of the vision that the guys have for this platform of helping as many students as possible. But also I can see that there is so much more potential in this, and I want to see where it goes. I honestly believe that the kind of online, like for online teaching content delivery, Khan Academy is probably the kind of standard, let's say.
The benchmark.
But they're not, but they're not that good. Like in all fairness, as far as actual teaching methodologies go, and there's so many things that could be done better. Like we introduce the learning algorithms. This thing that we have in jumpAgrade, where you have a personalized feedback from a tutor, you don't have that in Khan Academy because it's just the scale of the service in there. But I can. Another thing that could be done again is creating content that has really, really high production value. Like the stuff that I do over here with the Intuos and tablet, that's nice for what it needed to do. But if you could create the same content that I would create with a production value, like the kind of the crash course level or the likes, like, where you really make sure that your graphics is on point, that your video production is solid, that you have animations that are somewhat respectable, then you can capture, first of all, attention of the students and end up with a better learning. Because again, if you have attention, then you have learning. So I just wanted to see where it goes, really. But to begin with, I wanted to tutor more students. So it was nice to be able to get into jumpAgrade, and I was able to, hack the things that I had already been using for jumpAgrade, I guess. So.
Okay. And how did you actually hear about jumpAgrade in the first place? Can you remember?
I work at a startup in the Nexus Center. We are developing a technology for antimicrobial coatings, and it's based in Nexus. And I heard that there is a company that provides educational services in Nexus as well, called jumpAgrade. Googled, and that's it.
Okay, fair enough. And yeah, that's great. And your point there about kind of how it could be great to bring up the production value on it, like that is definitely a great point. But you are by far the most kind of technically advanced tutor I've spoke to. A lot of these people, a lot of the teachers actually, they're doing very basic videos. Like nothing on the production quality you were like, but I do get what you're saying, that it would be great to improve the production quality across the whole platform
Oh, I hear
with every tutor, you know.
Hear you.
So okay, so
And
yeah,
mhm.
no, talk about talk.
Like, so from that point of view, I hear you. Like, you know, there is a definite barrier to entry for teachers to, like, even you know, setting up your tablets, getting all these apps figured out and everything. You know, setting up your video software. But for video tutoring, I don't think the production value is going to be as important. But for actual teaching, so if it turned out that, for instance, and I don't know whether it's on a roadmap or not, but I'm just kind of like, you know, hypothesizing here, for an organization that is interested in providing teaching content, revision courses, things like that, the higher the production value of the content that they provide, the more likely that they're going to get numbers, because like I know that the schools, grind schools that get a lot of students, they get a lot of students because they have the best notes. So on an online level, the service that has the best content, and I mean the best in terms of the quality and the production value, that service is going to be able to capture the numbers that will, you know, will result in their success. That's what I meant when I was talking about that. For the teachers, it's great that the teachers have an opportunity to explore, I would say, this kind of side of things, you know, the more technologically advanced you know, way of communicating and into so how to say that, of dealing with the students. But I don't think that it's a reasonable expectations for me to, you know, to have that a 50-year-old maths teacher is going to go after figuring out how to use his Wacom tablet with a Camtasia to produce a video, when they can do the same thing using just a phone on a holder. So
Yes.
now that the COVID kind of showed up, that might change things a little bit, because I would imagine that a lot of teachers had to figure out how to provide quality content, or maybe not. Like, I know that in the school where I teach, most of the content provided by the teachers was recorded by their phone on the kind of holder that that the lads ship in the pack, you know, over a piece of
Yes.
paper, which is good for what it's needed. Like, but again, that's not going to be it's not high enough production value, I guess. You know, it's anyone can do it for teaching content, for actually teaching content, not feedback, for teaching content. You know, it has to be on a different level.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, that's a great point, and it's good to hear your opinion on it, really. Okay, and
For sure.
what is, when you're tutoring for a student, what is your main objective with that? What do you like to see kind of week in, week out? You know,
I want to make sure that every single student fills in the feedback box. This should be part of the flow. If the box is left empty, you should be able to submit your answers, and that should be a part of the app, in my view, rather than the student input, because the amount of grief and the pain that I got from the students who wouldn't put in their feedback box was just like, it's tough to deal with. Like, you know, like, for instance, it's numerous cases where you have a student that will answer the first part of the feedback box, how long it took them, which part, second part, first or second, I don't know the order. How did you find it? Difficult. Okay. How long did it take you? But then they won't fill in the third part, which is the one that I'm really interested in. What is that you want to cover? So that should be part of the submission flow, and you know, should be nudging the students to write that in, even if it's just like towards coordinate geometry, circle or something like that. At least that kind of points me towards where I need to be with my content. Otherwise, it's you know, shooting in the dark, trying to hit a target that's a mile away.
Okay.
I would like to see. Yeah, that's it really. If that's there, I think everything else is kind of sorted, because the way the answers are submitted is, it's not ideal, but it's good for me. I don't have a problem with what it does. It could be better. It could be one file. Could be downloaded in a single go or so on. But that's just coding issues really, rather than design issues. So
Yes.
um,
Yes. No, that sounds great. I mean, I'm only a designer as such. I don't have any developing background, so like these sort of improvements that I'd be hoping to make will be passed on to their developers. I'm hoping. But would you
I
like to
hear.
see even something like, obviously you want to see an input box on the app itself for better communication,
Mhm.
is what it sounds like. But would you even go as far as to say that there should be maybe even a minimum character amount and a maximum character amount in it, so that they're not
Yeah,
just typing something for the sake of doing it?
yeah, absolutely. You could probably even automate it a little bit further, and have the student select an area and the topic, because that's all known from the syllabus. But definitely, a minimum input would be good. But then again, like, you're kind of I know the teenagers, and I know that the teenagers, why the fuck do you, like, I solved the problem. What else do you want from me, type of thing, like.
Yeah.
So how to encourage them to deal with this is another question, like. But that was the big problem for me. That I didn't see those answers in front of me when putting together the worksheets. So um, yeah, it was problematic, but
Yeah,
it is
fair
what it is.
enough. Okay, so and what is the main reason so that you've continued to work with jumpAgrade until now, in your own opinion?
I had a number of students that I actually didn't feel like abandoning. So that was the first reason. I had a group of about 12 students that stayed with me from the beginning of when I was in with jumpAgrade for at least 25, 30 weeks. So that was one reason. Second of all, I understand fully the difficulty that this would put in like, if I left, the difficulty it would put the position the lads would be put in, because losing a tutor for 30 students might mean that some of those students might not get a tutor again, type of thing. So because I don't know the numbers in terms of the teacher coverage and so on. So I don't want to be kind of guessing here, but like commitment to the students, commitment to the company, and again, I'm curious to see where it's going. So that's it. Like David was making made it quite clear that improvements are going to be made to the platform over a period of time, and I want to see what those improvements are. Because if the platform becomes more seamless to use, then sure, why not? I mean, stick with it for a long time.
Yeah. Now, sorry. When I asked that question, I didn't mean to sound as if you want to leave the company or anything. I'm just more curious as
No,
to.
no, of course, I hear you. I hear you.
Um,
I hear
okay,
it. But
and just
these were the reasons, and it's not like I was thinking about leaving either. Like there was a discussion with Dave previously, where I had to go down from the 30 students down to around 15, and again we were able to find a way that's good for everyone, and that I cannot over people that are working for this company are, they seem to me to be responsible and good people that want the best for both their customers and also people that work for them. So I respect that in a company.
yeah, no, that's great. And if you were to recommend another teacher to join jumpAgrade, what is the unique selling point that you would tell them? What is the one reason that you'd say you have to join jumpAgrade for this?
At the moment, I wouldn't recommend it because of the issues with the interface, I would say, because I think it's the way it's painful. The teacher interface is painful to use. At the beginning, I would say that it's a great way to tutor students without having to go to their place. If you want to give grinds to students and want to get a few extra quid, go and join them, and then stay for the ease of use and the kind of ease of use, I guess, would probably be the main thing. But that's not the case if you're a teacher.
Yes. Okay. No, that's a good answer. Okay, so Michael, just the last section of questions here. We don't have too many more to go through, really. And to be honest, you've covered these.
Sure.
Really. So the last section is the pain points. So what do you find to be the hardest part about working with jumpAgrade? Although I think I kind of know what your answer might be.
Uploads.
Yeah.
Repetitiveness of the activities that I have to do. Like honestly, 30 times click. So for instance, for some of the flows, I think I actually did the calculation for some of the flows, like uploading the worksheets. I had to click things 300 times or something like that, or 400 times just to click them. It's going to sound horrible, but I think it's kind of funny. You know those videos that people used to say where you asked your grandmother to search for something, and then she would type it into Word, then copy and paste the thing into Google, and then copy and paste the link from the Google website into the address bar. That's how it felt.
Okay.
That's how it felt.
Yes. So it's just tedious admin type work, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough. And like my next question would have been, are you looking for a solution to these challenges? But clearly you demonstrated to me that, with your use of macros and other workarounds, you have actively looked for solutions to these. So yeah.
Well, it's going to be partial, I guess, because I can only automate as much. Still could be better, but you win some, you lose some. I guess it's better than it had been. So
Yeah, no, fair enough. And lastly, even though again you might be repeating yourself here, but just the very last question is, what do you think would improve jumpAgrade? Is there anything more that you haven't said that you think should be improved on?
Okay. So what I would really like to see, and this is blue skies, say 6 months development work, I would like to see a database containing categorized topics with questions, something that StudyClicks offer, but for jumpAgrade. And on the teacher panel, it would be nice to be able to actually focus more on the feedback than having to worry about putting the questions together, because the questions will put together themselves. If you're a teacher and you click a couple of check boxes, this many questions on this topic with this difficulty level, boom, pops out a PDF with 6 questions, or 5 questions or whatever. And then what you could focus then, rather than worrying about the questions, is the feedback, which is the important thing. So that would be the thing to aim for.
That'll be your number one priority. Yeah, no, that sounds like a great idea. Do you feel that maybe it might slightly this is only just me thinking off the top of my head. Do you think it might slightly hinder certain students in the sense that it might be, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like if a student is struggling really particularly with not even just one topic, but with a certain strand within a certain topic, do you think that it might kind of be not as beneficial for them when you're going to create a worksheet that they get? I would say that
I hear you fully. In a normal scenario, I haven't. This wasn't my experience with the students that I had. But should it occur, I think that the reasonable and responsible thing to do would be for the teacher to notice that, provide the feedback that addresses that, and then provide themselves a set of questions that would follow on the feedback. So there could be another way to address this, but this was my experience. There was 2 students who particularly struggled with one actual whole area really of mathematics. So that and then they were kind of, let's say, difficult to tutor as well because of their participation. But in my experience, students would generally be able to address a question, most questions, and repetitive errors, if spotted, should be kind of drilled out by the teacher through feedback and specific worksheet. But because this isn't, in my experience, this wasn't something that was very common, I would say that the value provided by the ability to automate worksheet creation would be probably something that would, to my mind, how to say it, motivate looking into it, for me anyway. And that's something that I still have, on my to-do list as a project, that something that I could do for myself. I would be keen on being able to just generate problems. And again, people do it already, so it can be done.
Yeah, no, that's great. I was not trying to find the flaw in that at all. I was just pointing out something that I thought might have been something. I mean, it could only be from one or two students.
I have absolutely no problems with any comments. The fact that you made that comment helps me think about it a little bit better. So I appreciate it, and thank you.
Great stuff. Great stuff, Michael. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Is there anything else? There was something in my head I did want to talk about there, but it's gone again. Look, I'm not sure. I'm very happy with how this is going, because you've given me some of the best insights I've got from any teacher, especially about the more technical sides of things, and give me a lot to think about. So, yeah, thank you for your time, and hopefully
it was my pleasure.
Hopefully this will improve going forward. I mean, this will be probably a slow process to try and improve on things, but if we can try to take some small steps to improve the platform, everything will be a help. So again, thanks for your time, and hopefully enjoy the rest of your day. All right.
Thank you very much. Same to you. Bye-bye now.
Bye now.